All right, today we're jumping into a real digital detective story. Seriously, it's all about a super smart AI system that was built to find truth in a mountain of data and what happened when it went horribly, mysteriously wrong. We're going to follow the researchers as they hunt for the cause and, believe me, uncover a solution that is surprisingly ruthless.
I mean, just think about that for a second. You build this incredible machine to create consensus, right? To find that perfect, clean signal in a sea of noise. And then one day it just breaks. It stops finding answers and actually starts creating more chaos. That is the exact mystery we're about to unravel.
So, where did it all start to go wrong? Well, the first sign of trouble wasn't just a simple error. No, it was a total, catastrophic breakdown in the system's ability to find a clear, coherent answer.
Look, this system was designed to lock onto the truth almost instantly, like in a single step. But instead, its coherence, you can think of that as its confidence in the right answer, it just started to plummet. Over 50 attempts, it went from being just a little unsure to completely and totally lost. It wasn't just failing, it was actively getting worse with every single try.
Okay, so the researchers, they go on the hunt. They knew the system's core logic was solid, so the problem had to be hiding somewhere in the data itself. They were basically looking for a saboteur, some kind of hidden variable that was poisoning the entire process from the inside out.
And you know what? They found it. They even gave the culprit a nickname, the Kevin-archetype. Now, this wasn't your garden variety random noise that you could just easily filter out. Oh no, this was something way more devious. A type of bad data that was just plausible enough to sneak right past the system's defenses. A real subtle saboteur. This digital villain basically had three key moves. First, instead of just canceling itself out like normal noise, it actively polluted the average, pulling the whole consensus away from the real answer. Second, it looked just good enough to fool the system's basic filters. And third, it created this massive drag on the system, forcing the AI to waste all its energy trying to figure out these saboteurs instead of, locking on to the truth.
So once they identified their villain, the next step was figuring out how to defeat it. They couldn't just tweak one or two little settings. They needed to find the absolute perfect combination of parameters. So what did they do? They launched a massive simulation. Basically, a brute force search for the answer. They ran this huge grid search, testing 81 completely different configurations. You can think of each one as its own little parallel universe, each with slightly different laws of physics for the AI. A little more noise here, a stricter filter there. They were literally stress testing reality itself to find a version where their system could actually survive.
And get this, out of all those 81 simulated realities, the path to success was incredibly narrow. Only 4 of them, just 4, resulted in the system working perfectly. This wasn't about finding a small improvement. This was about finding a very precise needle-in-a-haystack solution.
And those 4 successes? They weren't random at all. Turns out they all shared a very specific set of characteristics, what the team started calling a magic formula that could instantly defeat the Kevin-archetype and bring order back to the system. And here it is, the 4 critical ingredients. First, you've got to keep the background noise low. Makes sense. Second, make sure the true signal is strong. At least 60% of the data has to be reliable. Third, and listen up, because this is the real key, you have to be absolutely ruthless with your filter. Only accept data that is an almost perfect match, like 95% similarity. And finally, you apply a bit of balanced damping, which is kind of like a shock absorber that stops the system from overreacting to new information. And the difference was it was night and day. On the left, you've got the original performance, a system that would just spin its wheels for 50 cycles and never find the answer. On the right, with the magic formula applied, boom, it found the truth with over 90% fidelity in a single cycle. 1. Instantaneous. The problem was completely and utterly solved.
So what's the big lesson here? What's the takeaway from all this? Well, the solution wasn't about making the AI smarter at cleaning up messy data. No, it was about fundamentally changing the entire strategy for what data it even looks at in the first place.
This quote from the research really captures the crucial insight. And it feels so counterintuitive, right? We're always taught that more data is better, but the math was crystal clear. It's actually way better to throw away some perfectly good information if it guarantees you eliminate even one of those sneaky saboteurs. The real key is to be ruthless right up front.
And that's the big strategic shift. Don't waste time building a better mop to clean up spills. Instead, build a better container so nothing ever spills in the first place. The most effective strategy wasn't trying to fix problems after the fact. It was proactive, aggressive gatekeeping of information from the very beginning.
And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought, doesn't it? This whole technical deep dive actually reveals a powerful philosophy. In an age where we are all just drowning in data, maybe the most important skill, for us and for our AIs, isn't about how much we can absorb, but about how ruthlessly we can reject what doesn't belong. What do you think?